I'm Adam Ostro, Editor-in-Chief of Mashable. I'm here with Bonin Bao from PepsiCo. Bonin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Cool. So you were talking a little bit about what PepsiCo is doing in the realm of social media, and specifically social good. You guys kind of really made a big splash last year with the Pepsi Refresh project. How's that going?
It's going great, and I think that splash, but I think more importantly, impact. And I think a lot of times I'll start back and I'll tell people when it was first introduced to the organization, it was done in a town hall setting, and they presented, and we actually did it with our ERG groups, which are our employee resource groups. So our women's group, our minority group. And there were 3 groups that actually campaigned, and we watched all the videos of them campaigning, and they presented the video of the project and what it was going to be, and it was so powerful that at the end, after Indra presented it, everybody burst out clapping, but then they started hugging each other because they realized that the program was going to bring about so much good in communities, and everybody was excited to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. Cut to, I think, 8 months later, over 300 ideas funded, social impact. I think we're about to launch something that talks about the measure of that. But one of the things I talked about on stage was just from a pure engagement, there's been more votes, or it's set to eclipse the amount of votes that have been on Refresh than they had in the last presidential election.
Mm-hmm. And how far along are some of the projects?
Some are finished and completed, so some were as simple as a potluck ride to help rebuild houses, and so it was a bike ride, and people met in the community and brought food, and they rebuilt a house. And then some are longer term, and a lot of those are either the higher level grants versus the $5,000 grant, for example.
And what does it mean to a brand like PepsiCo? I know you talked about this a little bit on stage, but what does it do for you guys? What do you kind of think it does in terms of restoring maybe corporate reputation, which you guys talked a little bit about?
Well, I think that, I think Jack Leslie talked a little bit about the consumer preference around organizations that are being socially conscious. So I think in that respect, there is a huge sway towards brand preference, potentially. And so in that respect, it's a huge opportunity for us as an organization. But I also think that one of the big impacts is that it continues to remind the consumer that we are a social good company. And then when you talk about corporate reputation from a broader level, I do work at PepsiCo, not just Pepsi. We're a family of wholesome brands, from Gatorade to Quaker to Tropicana, Frito and Pepsi. But is that from a corporate reputation standpoint and from a PepsiCo standpoint, it also allows us to continue to remind the world that we are a company that has a set of principles that are revolved around what I talked about, which is performance with purpose. So it's from a reputation standpoint, there's a huge opportunity there.
Now, you recently announced that the program's coming back.
It is coming back, and it's going global as well.
Okay.
So continued commitment to continue to be impactful in communities.
Now, what type of stuff are you guys going to be doing on an ongoing basis to maybe share some of the success stories that come out of the program? What's kind of
I think on the docket right now is we're inviting folks to come and tell us. So, throughout the process, and I think you were involved in one of the meetings, we've had meetings with a number, because a lot of people come out with a project this scale, a lot of people come out and want to talk about what's working and what's not, and we're constantly monitoring online conversation. We've had a number of sit-down meetings with people in the social good space, individuals, winners, and we've heard a lot of what works, what doesn't, what is annoying, what's not, and so we're really trying to take that and turn that into action as we move forward in 11, so much so that we're actually opening it up for just a real focused conversation on, okay, what do you think should change and evolve with the program? And I think that's happening in the next couple of weeks.
Now, for an individual that might have a Pepsi Refresh project in mind, how do they kind of go about getting started? And there are specific areas that you guys are maybe more excited about than others right now?
I'm glad you asked, Adam. It's a pretty simple process. There is a form online. You go to Pepsi Refresh Everything, and you fill out a submission form. You have to fill out what the description, the mission, the objective of the project are. You have to have a pretty detailed mission plan around it, but anybody can submit. And then there are varying categories, everything from housing to environment, so on and so forth, and then there are different levels. So what we found actually is that the creation of multiple categories and levels have actually created a pretty even playing field, just, in terms of distribution across states as well, but distribution of levels and categories. So we're getting an even number of submissions across both, which is exciting. And you know, having said that, we probably see a little more individuals in the lower 5,000 tier, and some more bigger nonprofits in the 250K tier, but for the most part, it's been pretty even and exciting.
Now, not all those ideas involve social media, but a lot of them do, right? You're seeing some interesting things there in terms of projects that leverage social media and the web.
You know, a lot, actually, there are a couple. There
Okay.
are not as many as you might think, because at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily a social media program. It just happened to use social media as the execution component, but it was, you know, really a program across the brand. But a lot of the projects, what's really interesting is that, you know, they're simple things, like I talked about this bike and rebuild. I mean, it's really simple stuff, but it's 5-block radius, it's community focused, and that's where the exciting thing is.
And people are leveraging their social network, though, to get
But people
votes and support.
are so leveraging their social network to get votes. And what's exciting about that is that you see a lot of people talking about what their experience were. Here's the best way to leverage your independent network. Here, we see even more than that. People are leveraging their just, you know, sneaker network, which is, I've seen things from postcards to bumper stickers to, people are talking to their local papers. There was a huge story actually this morning. I can't remember what paper it was, but talked about the local paper talking about how a school in their town had won, and it was because the local paper each day was running a vote program. So, you know, it's that kind of leveraging of networks, social in the broader context. That's exciting.
Great. Well, Bonin, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.